So it now gives me great pleasure to hand the meeting over to Earl H, who is going to share for us for about 45 to 50 minutes on the topic, the principle of discipline. Earl, thank you very much. You muted, Earl. Oh.
How's that? All right. Thank you, Chanel. Once again, my name is Earl. I'm an alcoholic. It's a pleasure to be with all of you. Hi, everybody. I'd like to welcome the newcomers. Congratulations. It's a remarkable thing to surrender to recovery. And there's a difference between, giving up, letting go and surrendering. I mean, to surrender to this, to surrender to be with us. The first step is, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol and then our lives have become unmanageable as a direct result of that one thing. And there's a humility in that, in being humbled by alcoholism. And I think the best definition I've ever heard of humility is that it's the willingness to learn, to be able to come in and just say, look, I can stop, but I don't know how to stay stopped. And that's really what I found was offered to me here was I was taught how to stay stopped. I was taught by those who had gone before me, the men and women that went before me. And I will forever be grateful to them. A little before I get into the discipline thing, other than put everybody to sleep by doing 45 minutes on the word discipline, which I can do, but I think it would be better just a little of my background. I started drinking when I was 12. I had waited as long as I possibly could. I was a very restless, irritable, and discontented child. I was going through some pictures of my family that I found in a box. There was some unclaimed property that came my way, and they said, we need all this documentation for you to get this stuff. And I was like, fine. So, I started filling it out, and they wanted, so I found this box of documents of my family who are all deceased, and it was this big bag of pictures, and I found pictures of me, and I found my baby book, and it's in my baby book. It's at age 3, it says quite precocious, and at age 5, it says first time called his father an ass. And then there are these pictures of me, and I look like I want to fight. I'm this little kid that doesn't even have all of his teeth yet, with a butch haircut. I look like a little kid from the Our Gang series. I look like a little Tom Sawyer or something, with my dukes up and my little T-shirt and blue jeans. And I just thought, oh my God, if they only knew what was coming, right? And I took my first drink at 12 and never stopped. It was on. I'm a child of the 60s, so there was a lot. Everything else that's possible to go on did. And I drank and used for 16 years on a daily basis, and a lot of crazy things happened along the way. Because as my alcoholism was progressing, life on life's terms was happening at the same time. So, and what was happening to me is that I had stunted my emotional growth at 12. I stopped developing at 12 because I remained heavily medicated by alcohol and other things daily from that point on. So here, life on life's terms is happening, and I don't have the tools to deal with any of it because I'm basically an emotional 12-year-old walking around in a 16-year-old man's 17, 18, 19, 20, 22-year-old man's body. And I have no ability to process what's happening in my life. I got malignant cancer when I was 20, no ability to deal with that. They told me to get my affairs in order, which I thought was the strangest thing in the world to say, because I had no affairs to get in order. I hadn't done a thing with my life. When I was 22, I was in a plane crash, and my mother, my father, my little sister all died in the crash, and I survived. And I woke up in the wreck in Los Mochis, Mexico. It was interesting. A girl mentioned she has 2 days from Todos Santos. I've been there, and that it was during that time that it was in Todos Santos. It was very interesting to hear those words, and to have them not trigger, bad things for me. But I woke up in Mexico, and my family was laying in plain sight. I'd broken my skull, my back in 3 places, crushed my leg, my arm, had a lot of internal injuries, paralyzed from the waist down. The only thing I could move was my right arm, and I was awake. And I laid there, and I couldn't get to any of my family to help them. So I watched them all bleed to death in front of me. And I swore that I would never love another human being again as long as I lived. And there's no way I would ever tell you who I am. So there's no way you could love me, because I would never let you know who that is. And I went on, I finally got smuggled out of Mexico because I had some issues with the Mexican government we don't need to get into now, but they were very unhappy to see me in Mexico. The federales showed up and interrogated me for 3.5 days, which is not a great experience. I would not advise that to anyone. And called some guys I knew in Northern California who flew a plane in and smuggled me out of Mexico. I spent a long time in a hospital in Santa Monica, California, and I came out of that hospital as crazy as you can be and be on the loose. And I went on my last run, which lasted for 6 years. And again, a lot of bad stuff happened. And I came out of my last blackout, and I was 27 years old. I had broken over 65, 70 bones at the time, between 6 years of football, a couple of car crashes, a plane crash, leading a very violent life. Been stabbed a couple of times, shot at. They were deciding when I came out of the blackout, they were deciding whether or not to charge me with the attempted murder of David Luboff. My family was dead. I had no friends. I had no place to go. I had led a crazy, insane life. And I'm the most peaceful little white boy from the west side of LA you're ever going to meet. But you put the magic elixir in me, and it's Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. I turn into a lunatic. And I don't have any breaks. I just go, and I become a wrecking ball. And I came out of this last blackout, and all this is going on. The cops are there, and some people that I knew, and something had happened in the blackout, because I came to and I realized I'm done. I can't live like this for another day. And both my hands were broken, and I raised them up. I had hair down to my elbows, and I raised them up, and I just said, please help. And hearing that come out of my mouth, it was like a strange echo. What? Please help. And there was somebody in the room that knew what was happening. And he said, that's the magic words, let's get him. And they threw me in the ambulance before the cops knew what was happening. And off I went. And I went to one place, and they pumped my stomach and told him, get him out of here, he's going to die. And they took me to another place, Olive View Medical Center. I stayed there for 5 days and kept getting worse. So they put me in an ambulance and took me to Long Beach General Hospital. And what this place was it was one room. It was attached to a hospital, but it was one room with 42 old Army cots in it. 21 cots on each side of the room with sheets drawn between the cots. And how you kicked, it was called riding the cot. You got in this little cot, you grabbed a hold of the wood slats on the sides, and you hung on. And I'd heard that, I'd been in a couple of detoxes before, and I got drunk on the way home. I mean, if detox worked, it'd be kicking out winners, 72 hours and free. But See, I got this thing that's, I have an allergy to the body and an obsession of the mind. And you can clear all the alcohol out of my body, but I got an obsession of the mind that tells me the next time this will be different. I got new information. It just chews, it whispers, it just stays on me until I take another drink, which activates the physical phenomenon of craving. And, 5 hours later, it's like I never stopped. I mean, that's always been my story. It's never been about stopping for me. It's been about how do I stay stopped? I couldn't figure it out. So I'm in this cot. I had through a couple of seizures, just bucked up out of the cot, and rode my cot for 47 days in Long Beach General Hospital. So 52 days of detox, and Ray W. counting with the other 5. And Ray W. came by and he said, "Earl, we love you, but you got to go to AA or you're going to die. It's the only shot a guy like you has." And I looked at him and I just thought, what a horrible thing to say to somebody. You're saying that the only way I can stay alive is I have to go to the A&A? What? I mean, seriously? And I mean, if you'd looked at the last 6 years of my life, somebody said, "Listen, there's a way for you to survive. It's called AA. You should go there." A sane person would go, "Oh my God, I didn't think there was a way for me." There is a way? Awesome. Let's go. Not me, man. Alcoholism, obsession. I still, it was like, what? The A&A, it's come to that. It was like telling me that I could never be a real boy. I was destined to be this person with the double A stamped on his forehead. Oh, that's one of those poor bastards that can't live life on life's terms. So we help them along, as a group. It takes a village to keep Earl alive. Well, turns out it does take a village to keep Earl alive. And I went to my first A&A meeting, and I sat in the back row, arms folded, mad dogging everybody, man. Just, I'm not a tough guy. I never have been, I never will be. But man, I would fight, you know what I mean? You blinked at me wrong and I was coming, because that's what a terrified human being like me does. I learned to fight because I come from a very violent home. My father was a very violent man. And I just thought, just like what, I was on guard all the time, high alert, right? And I came into AA that way. It's like, who are these people? What do they want from me? Why are they all smiling? I don't trust any of this. And this guy got up and he shared his experience, strength, and hope. And he talked about how he drank. And I went, yeah, me too. I didn't realize I was identifying. I just heard, yeah, I drank like that. And then he talked about how something happened. I went, I know something happened in a blackout. I'm not really sure what it was, but yeah, something happened. I was drinking, I was dying, and suddenly I couldn't drink anymore. I don't know what happened, but yeah. And then he talked about what his life was like now. And I thought, nope, I got none of that. I said, but you know what? 2 out of 3, best I've done in years. I'll take it. And they said, keep coming back. And to Zara, to keep coming back. To the gentleman who's observing tonight, keep coming back. And that's what I did. I said, all right, you're going to regret saying that to me. That's what I thought. Right. But because now I'm gonna, because I got no place else to go. I have burned my life to the ground. Family's dead, got no friends, got no place to live. Physically, I'm just ruined. And you want me to come? Okay. And guys came up and gave me, and I found a picture. I was talking about those pictures I found. I found a picture of the first person who ever walked up to me in an AA meeting. His name was Vegas N. This blonde guy. He came running up to me my first meeting and he goes, "Hi, I'm Vegas. I'm an alcoholic." And I said, "So what?" "Me too. I don't know what you're so happy about. Get away from me." And he just looked at me and he said, "Keep coming back." And all these guys went, "Hey, look, Vegas told the crazy person to keep coming back." And I'm like looking around going, what is going on around here? But I left thinking, that guy was very insistent that I keep coming back. So I did. I just kept coming back. And I finally went up to another guy who hadn't approached me, and I kind of hijacked him. And I went, "Hey, you got the look. I get the meeting directory from the table. You got any ideas here? And he goes, yeah, well, this group, us guys, we go to these meetings during the week. And he circled them and he just said, show up. We'll be happy to see you. And I was like, yeah, we'll see about that. And I started going to those meetings, and that became my first home group. And then the guy said, work the 12 steps. That's how we stay stopped. Is we work the 12 steps. That's how we get relieved of the greater aspect of our disease. See, we got this circle with a triangle. This is for the new people out there. We got this triangle with a circle around it, right? It's an ancient spiritual symbol. It stands for mind, body, and spirit brought together as a whole human being. And therein lies the hope for me. That's the balance that I seek and have never been able to find, drunk or sober. AA adopted that symbol. It's unity, service, and recovery. It's the same thing. It's just different words. Unity is the body. I bring it here. I can't stay sober, but we seem to be able to. What's the first word in the steps? We together. We admit it together. I look at you and I admit I'm an alcoholic. And there's something that happens there that doesn't happen when I go look in the mirror and say. So unity is the body, I bring it here. Recovery is of the mind, the greater aspect of my illness, the thing that makes it impossible for me to get comfortable sober. And if I can't get comfortable sober, I'm not going to stay that way. So if my goal is to stay stopped, I got to address the obsession of the mind, the greater aspect of my illness. How do I do that? I work the 12 steps. That's what they're for. Step one is, what's the problem? Lack of power is my dilemma. I can be good at a lot of stuff, but when it comes to the question of drinking, I keep doing it and it keeps taking over my life when I do. Right? So step two is, well, if that's the problem, what's the solution? Step two, that a power greater than myself could restore me to sanity, soundness of mind, relieve me of the obsession to drink. Okay. Step three says, knowing what the problem and the solution are in steps 1 and 2, you got to make a decision to do something about it. This is a program of action. Okay, what do you want me to do? Get down on your knees, say the 3rd step prayer, turn your will and your life over to the care of God. Whether you understand God or not is not the point. Just do it. Okay, got down on my knees, said the 3rd step prayer, got back up on the couch, and then they said, okay, we hope you were serious about that. To which I replied out loud, oh, now you tell me. You couldn't have said that sooner? Now you hope I'm serious? Yeah, because we're going into the action steps, 5 through 9. 4 and 5 is me, 6 and 7 is God, 8 and 9 is everybody else, and that's the whole team. There's nobody else to play with. That covers the whole show, right? So 4 and 5, I do an inventory as outlined in the big book. I read this before God to another human being. 6 and 7, I turn it over to God, ask God to remove the defects of character because I'll remove the wrong stuff. Right? 10, 11, and 12, keep me in the game. 10, I continue to take personal inventory. When I'm wrong, I promptly admit it, me. 11, I seek God through prayer and meditation. What do I pray for? Knowledge of his will for me and the power to carry that out. Why do I meditate? To quiet the mind so that when the answers come, I can hear them. Step 12, unity is the body, I bring it here. Recovery of the mind, 2nd side of the triangle. Recovery of the mind. 3rd side, service, spiritual service. How can I help? I've been restored to sanity. By step 9, the promises have started to come true that are in the book, right? Things are banging. I'm looking around and going, this is my life? I mean, I got people that actually consider themselves my friends at this point. I have no idea how to do that. They're teaching me about friendship. They're teaching me how to have a checking account. They're teaching me how to get a job and keep a job. They're teaching me how to be not attract attention in a deli. When we go to coffee to a deli after a meeting, they would teach me how to behave without creating a commotion, without attracting any attention, where I could sit in a deli and leave without anybody going, who is that? You know, I could be in the world and walk amongst the others, right, without attracting attention. It was like, to me, it was like, these dudes are ninjas, man, because, you know, they walked among the normal folk without attracting any attention. right? And I loved it. I thought these guys are amazing. And I kept coming back. So they said, you got to get a sponsor. I said, great, what is that? And they told me, and I went and I got one. I got a vicious sponsor. I got the late, great Donald Madden, who saved my life. And I did everything that man told me to do for 14 years up until the day he died. And then I got a sponsor my next sponsor, I had 3 hours later. It was a friend of his. So it was like another seat at the same table. And he was my sponsor until he moved. And then I got another sponsor, and he's since passed away. And then I got a third sponsor, and that guy, the samurai, is my sponsor to this day. He's 50-something years sober and one of the most remarkable people I've ever met in my life. He's the kindest person I know. And I find that to be the most powerful compliment I can pay another man, is that he's strong enough to be gentle with himself and gentle with other people. And that's what I want to be. He's strong enough as a man to be gentle with myself and gentle with other people. You know, I know how to be tough. I know how to be violent. I know it comes of all that. 2 guys fight, 2 guys lose. Nobody wins, ever. And that goes from 2 men to 2 countries. You fight, you lose. If you're fighting, you've already lost. You've lost. And you know, it's, you know, I don't want to, you know, I'm not a religious man, but I am a spiritual man. I'm trying to lead a spiritual life and the tenets that come with that. And like I said, you know, fast forwarding, I'm 44 years sober now. I can't imagine my life being any other way. I was on the phone this morning listening to some inventory, a fear inventory, a guy I sponsor, who's 40 years sober, got sober when he was 16, which I don't know many guys like that. He's one of them. And my life is absolutely amazing. I retired last year. You know, in great, and what's funny is that I'm so impulsive. It's insane. But with the help of Alcoholics Anonymous, I retired in great shape, planned for it, lived below my means, and retired in great shape. And then I thought, what do I want to do? I didn't have, you know, I didn't have something to get up and do every day. I had something for 40 years. I'd had something I had to get up and do every day. And now I had nothing. What do I do? And I started to get depressed. I thought, well, I need to put my skills to use. Put my skills to use. So I built a sniper rifle. I took it into a gun shop and they went, "Wow, this is beautiful. You want to sell it?" And I was like, "No." I built a sniper. They said, "This is an amazing sniper rifle." I went, "Well, thank you." And then a little voice in my head said, "Probably not the right direction for you, Earl." And I thought about it. I thought, yeah, okay. So what am I good at? And I thought, well, I played the guitar for 30 years. So now I'm becoming a luthier. I'm building a guitar right now. A Stratocaster. That doesn't mean anything to most people, but I'm, you know, building from scratch, and I'm having a ball building a musical instrument, something that I hope will make beautiful music. That's my goal. And when I finish with that, I've already got the parts coming in for the second one, so that I can build a Telecaster, which is the brother to the Stratocaster. And it's a new love of mine. I have another friend of mine I sponsored him for 30 years. He has 17 years sober. He's been an electrician, a remarkable genius electrician his whole life. He is now showing his art in a gallery, a high-end gallery in Southern California next month, to become a painter. Right? We're evolving as sober men in Alcoholics Anonymous. We're taking risks. We know that you got to be bad at something to get good at it. You know, it's my nature to hear Eric Clapton play the guitar and go, "Look, he's playing a Stratocaster. He's got a such and such amp, right?" So I go buy that guitar and that amp, and I plug it in, and I play it, and I go, "That doesn't sound like Eric Clapton." I put, you know, $6,000 worth of equipment in a closet and never touch it again. That's normal for me. until I learned, no. He was terrible until he was okay. And then he was okay till he was pretty good. And then he was pretty good till he was really good. And then he was really good until he was great. And what you're seeing is the end of just chopping the wood and carrying the water of a goal. That brings me to discipline. Nice segue, huh? The value of discipline to me, this is just me. Everybody, I'm sure there will be many very vocal people in the sharing stage of this that will disagree with me completely, which is great. The more the merrier. Whatever you think is whatever you think. Whatever you feel is how you feel. I make no judgment. Discipline for me has been the source of all freedom I have experienced in my life. You want to get free? Discipline. Chop the wood and carry the water of that thing, whatever it may be. Chopping the wood and carrying the water of AA, we do 4 things. You want your whole life to change for the better. You want to embrace the magnificence of life on life's terms. You want to become whatever you want to be, because this is like an Etch-a-Sketch. Whatever your life is, you commit to this path, you can shake that Etch-a-Sketch and you have a blank screen and you can build whatever life you want on that. Where do you get a deal like that? Here. So you come into Alcoholics Anonymous, you do 4 things. You go to regular meetings regularly. And by regular meetings regularly, I mean you get known in the fellowship. You want to go to meetings where you walk in the door and they say, "Hi, Christine. Hi, Zara. Hi, Joel. Hi, Leslie." You want them to say your name, know you by name. So when you don't show up, they'll go, "Hey, where's Earl?" And they'll call you. You want to be accountable to them. So go to regular meetings regularly. Get a sponsor. And here's the thing about a sponsor. They don't chase you, you chase them. You call the sponsor. You check in. You ask for direction. You say, "Tell me what to do." And when they say something, when they suggest something, go do it. It doesn't matter what it is. It's the fact that you're willing to use consciousness beyond your own. My own consciousness as it existed when I came into AA was going to kill me. I needed consciousness beyond my own to find out how to stay stopped. It was all around me in the A&A meetings. They were there. So I would go up to these guys and go, "What, eventually Donald." And like I said, I talked to him every day and I did everything he told me to do. Right? So I go regular meetings regularly. I get a sponsor and I actively engage in a relationship with that sponsor. Then I work the 12 steps as outlined in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. You just do it. Read the doctor's opinion in the first 164 pages and do everything it says in the order it says. I've had newcomers come to me and say, "Well, I've been reading the book and on page 460, time out. You know when you should be reading page 442? Is when you finished reading the 441 pages before it." So open it up, read the forwards to the book. There are a few now. Read them. Then read the doctor's opinion. Then read the 164 pages, right? And you've worked the 12 steps. Now it tells you, give it away or you're going to lose it. So you go to your meetings. You don't have to go to the insane asylum or the prison. You can. You'll have a great time. I go to them, right? Because I can come back out now. When I would go before, it was not up to me when I left, but now it is. But all you have to do to find an alcoholic who still suffers is go to a meeting. You would be amazed how many people go to A&A meetings and think they're working a program. They're not. By going to meetings. Going to meetings is a vital aspect of my recovery. It's the fellowship. It's like the sword and the shield. You need both. The shield is the fellowship. It's the company of my own kind. It's people being able to look in each other's eyes. You okay? I can't lie to you. I look at you and you say, you all right, Earl? And I say, yeah, I'm fine. You go, no, you're not. That's why I asked you. Because you look, so what's wrong? Let's go for a walk. Well, the meeting's going to start. Yeah, we'll be back. Come on, let's go. And I'm held accountable by my fellowship. And I allow for that. I've surrendered to the fact that I need those outside eyes on me. So I guess what I'm trying to say is go to regular meetings, get a sponsor, work the steps, and then get out of yourself and be of service to other people. How can I help? That's what we do. We do those 4 things. That's chopping the wood and carrying the water of Alcoholics Anonymous. You do those 4 things. You just do those 4 things. What do you do in 44 years, Earl? Because it's got to be pretty sophisticated at that point. You got to have some pretty fine-tuned shit going on there, right, buddy? They go, well, actually, what I do is that I go to regular meetings regularly. I have a sponsor that I talk to on a regular basis. I continue to work the 12 steps because I sponsor people. And what they want from me is to take them through the steps. So on any given day, I'm on 4 or 5 different steps, depending upon where guys I work with are in this process. So I'm in the steps every day. I'm married to a woman who has long-term recovery. And so we have shorthand competition. Communication, also competition. That was a Freudian slip, but it's completely true. But good-hearted competition. You know what I mean? And she'll come at me with, yeah, go read page so-and-so. You go read page so-and-so. And it's all on a positive side now. We're not trying to take each other down. We're trying to lift each other up. And as a result, we've been together for 26 years. My longest relationship, I showed her pictures of my ex-wives yesterday. I have 3 ex-wives. 2 are dead, and I don't know where the other one is. One overdosed, one committed suicide, and one is in the weeds. Who knows where she is? Somewhere in Italy. Anyway, I have a long-term relationship. So something that was never possible. Remember, I said I'm the guy that I swore he would never love or be loved again. I wasn't going to do that. Well, that AA picked my pocket like a thief in the night. It took that from me. It took my promise of aloneness, of solitude away from me, and made it possible for me to be a part of something bigger than myself. And that happened because I was engaging in the discipline of the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. I kept coming back. I went to regular meetings regularly. I got a sponsor. I worked the steps. I started helping other people, and I never stopped doing any of them. I still do all 4. Why would I not? I've been blessed with an incredibly successful life. I had malignant cancer when I was 20, like I said. Last year, it came back. They saw something on my leg, and they said, we got to cut that out of you. It's malignant. And I was like, okay. I said, don't get too worried about this leg because I got this other one right over here. And so we went into the thing and we laid down on the table and the guy says, do you want me to put you out? I said, you mean I can stay awake for this? And he goes, yeah. I go, definitely staying awake. Right. So he's, because he shot it all up and then he cut a hole. And I said, can I have a look? And he goes, I don't get that request often, but sure, you can take a look. And I looked at it and I go, is that the tibia? The bone? Is that the tibia right there? And he goes, yeah. I was like, oh, okay. Now lay it back down. Not worried. And I'm okay from that. It came back. I had to go back and do it again. I got 2 holes in my leg. Right? Then I got it on my head. And I had to do a 2-month chemo thing on my head. That was fun. But guess what? I'm here. So I had 3 bouts of cancer. face and head. I'll call that one, and then 2 on the leg, and I'm still here. I mean, 24 was a tough year. A lot of stuff went down that was not fun. But I came out the other side stronger and better than ever. I'm going to finish with this, and then I'm going to open it up. I think a little early. No, I'm going to open it up right on time. I was walking along with a buddy of mine, one of my closest friends. And he just said, what's chewing on you, man? Something's. And I'm stoic in that way. And I don't mean that in a good way. I shut down. Something's on me. And he goes, what's going on with you, man? And I immediately wonder, how did this guy get close enough to me in my life to be able to talk to me like that? That's the first thought. But I've learned to always wait for the second thought. Always. Because the first one's an impulse and should not be paid any attention to. Still, because I'm still Earl. Okay, how long I'm sober. And it's immediately questioned the validity of this guy even opening his mouth. Second thought, he makes a good point. I should answer him. And I said, I don't know what's going on. Something's dogging me. He goes, I don't know how to, and he goes, just say it. And I said, we never finished the flight. It just flew out of me. That I'm a guy who believes every man should carry his own weight. Don't spread your pain and suffering all over everybody else. Carry your own weight. So I was carrying my own weight. And part of that was not mine to carry. Was I felt that the plane had crashed, and it actually happened on my 22nd birthday, November 7th, 1974. That was my 22nd birthday, and that's the day that my family died. And there's a lot more to it, but it gets even worse, but that's not the point of this. And I said, we never finished the flight. And he said, well, we got to do something about that. So he calls up a buddy of his who owns a plane. And that next Saturday, my wife and I meet my friend and this guy I don't even know. And we walk out onto this airport, this little airport, and there's a plane sitting there. A single engine plane. That means one engine. No backup. This is what I'm thinking when I'm looking at this little thing. I said, I'm looking at it thinking, I think I could throw that up in the air myself. It's so tiny. So we cram it. I get in the pilot seat. An instructor gets in the other seat because I don't have a pilot's license. My buddy gets behind him, and my wife gets behind him, and my buddy gets behind me. Or they're back there. 4 of us are crammed into this little plane. And I look at the instructor and I say, don't touch anything. You just talk to the tower like you're the one flying the plane, and I'll take it off, fly it, land. And unless I look like I'm about to kill us, then you can grab whatever you like. But unless that happens, this is my flight. And he's like, go. I don't know what's going on, but okay, right? So we get out on the runway and we get clear for takeoff, and I hit that thing and we go barreling down this runway, right? Now remember, flying's not my favorite thing in the world, right? But I pull back on that stick, man, and that thing raises up and it's flat, and I flew up into the sky. And I flew around the coast of California, and we looked at the ocean water from several thousand feet up. We looked at the water, and then we banked that thing around, and I brought it back down to the runway, and the instructor said, quite remarkably, I made a 3-point landing. In other words, I just sat it down like putting a baby to bed, just right under the runway. He said he had 900 hours and he'd only done that 3 times. And I did it, took it off, flew it, landed it, pulled it over, parked it. Done. Had a picture of my mother and a picture of my little sister in my hands. They took a picture of me in front of the plane, and it was lifted. It was lifted. That, to me, that's what Alcoholics Anonymous is. It affords for things like that to happen. I got so many stories like that. We could be here till, till dawn. We could be here till dawn. We could be here till Zara sees the sun come up because it's midnight there, 11, right? Amazing things that have happened in my life. And who I am without you is a guy who can't stop drinking. That's who I am. I'm a guy who's going to die bitter and lonely from alcoholism. I'm that guy that isn't going to make it. And I'm 71 years old. And, you know, I go get physicals. I look like I'm in my mid 40s on paper. My blood work, everything else, you know, I'm strong and I'm alive and I am leaning forward into life every day. So if you're new, congratulations. You've begun a process that will never let you down. You chop the wood and carry the water. When stuff is good, you're going to have the skill set to make what's good great. That same skill set, when you're living life on life's terms, when the shit hits the fan, you're going to know what most people don't know. You're not in charge of the fan. You're going to float through it, and you're not going to create any unnecessary wreckage when things are falling apart, because you'll be in preparation for when it goes good again, because it always does. And that way you will lift up and stabilize, lift up and stabilize, lift up and stabilize, instead of going up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down. Up, stabilize, up, stabilize, up, stabilize. And all you have to do is go to regular meetings regularly. It takes so little time when you think about the gift that's given for it. The discipline of just going to regular meetings regularly, getting a sponsor, working the 12 steps, and then giving those steps away to the new people who come in. That's all you got to do. And what you'll get is an introduction to yourself and the life that that person chooses to live. So please, if you can't do it for yourself, as a favor to me, stick around. You can go to meetings and you can say, I don't really want to be here, but Earl seems to be insistent on it, so I'm doing it for him. He's a very pushy man. I met him the other night. Right? Perfect. Blame it on me. And if you're a returnee, if you're coming back, one last thing I'll end with is this. If you've kept coming back and you're back, and you've come back for the 15th time, and somebody just kind of goes, look who's back. You know, kind of looks down their nose at you a little bit, you know, throws a little shade your way. Do this for me. Go up to them and say, excuse me. But I met this guy, Earl Hightower, the other night, and he said that you should go fuck yourself. Because we don't shoot our wounded. We don't judge each other. We give love. That's all we do, is we give love. I don't have to like you. I don't even know you. But if I see your face on this screen, I have love for you. Genuine love, born out of a common knowledge, born out of a common problem that has led us to a common solution, a life that we will live together. Together, never alone. Together. So I wish you peace. It's the hardest thing for people like us to find. And stay on the path. I hope to see you all again. I'm out. Peace.